What's going on, everybody? It's Frito here for your Overwatch. Massive Roadhog nerf coming in. Jeff has single-handedly ended the Roadhog main tank apocalypse with this change, reverting the damage back to the way it used to be, only 150 total per shot, meaning that you'll need a hook and an entire body shot connection and a melee in order to finish a target, rather than just needing 2 of the 3 like it was at the old damage value. And well, it's going to go back to the old version of Roadhog where you had to be much more precise to land one-shot kills with the hook, but at the same time, they reworked all the shotguns in the game, including Roadhogs, to be more reliable. So what this is going to do is make that play easier to make, but remember, he retains the fire rate nerf in the mix of all of this, so he'll still have the 5 shots and the slower fire rate, but do way less damage. I tried to test these spread connections to feel out the new hitbox and how it interacted, and I would say it's a little bit difficult to feel the difference on the left-click shotgun blast, because when you're that close to a target, the hitboxes are large and in your face anyway, so the spread being tighter and more reliable only goes so far. I think you definitely are going to miss the 175 damage shots in the previous version, but when area that I do feel Roadhog has been buffed with is his alternate fire, which yes, will do the less damage now, but when comparing to the live game, it felt to me that his alternate fire is much more reliable now, because of course you shoot it at ranges where the hitboxes are smaller, farther away from you of course, so shooting at range with his alternate fire is going to feel more precise now. But regardless of this side grade or small buff, can pretty safely say that this is a net negative for Roadhog, and the era of the Gigahog is finally over. Main tanks should be able to freely come out to play again, though to some degree, all tank characters are going to want to be mindful of how reliable shotguns have now become, and this new reliable spread principle might shake things up in surprising ways. And we'll have to monitor that to see what characters feel weaker up against these new shotguns. You'd imagine tanks might not like how reliable shotguns blast into their face now, but if you're playing one of these characters, you want to keep in mind that each one is going to have its own unique spread pattern, where the individual pellets of the spread will deviate a bit, but they'll mostly stay consistent. For D.Va, she's going to have this star shape, where there seems to be a fairly even spread surrounding the crosshair, but a concentration of shots closer to it, so aiming directly at the hitbox you want to hit is going to be advantageous, of course. But an odd one is Torbjorn's, who, if you look carefully, has kind of a concentration of shots underneath the crosshair in this wacky star effect. So I would say you might want to bias shooting his alternate fire a little bit above the head hitbox, or low enough so you get mostly body shots and a few headshots. It'll depend on the shots you're trying to take, but the majority of the pellets fall a little bit below where you're aiming. But on top of this, Torbjorn got quite a sizable damage buff. Now, his overall DPS is intended to be lower here, but between more reliable spread, as well as a damage per shot increase, it'll now do 125 per shot. This thing's really gonna pack a punch. I mean, for reference, Reaper does 140 per shotgun shot. Though the new Rivet Gun alt fire does shoot slower, I think this is quite a big Torbjorn buff, to be honest, and add a whole lot of reliability to his close range dueling with both of these buffs in mind, and also gonna be quite scary up against tanks. Ash's spray pattern rework is quite similar to Torbjorn's, whereas Roadhog and Reapers are now going to be a very consistent rectangular shape, similar to what they already were, but the RNG has kind of been taken out of it. And actually, I would say these are the characters that probably notice the up-close spread change the least, because again, as characters are super close, the variation of hitboxes kind of doesn't matter so much. Though I will say, even though the damage has been reverted, some of the more tricky characters that were tough to land all your pellets into before will now be more reliable than it was in the old Roadhog, back when he had 6 shots. I'm thinking like Ana or Reaper in particular, where you need a big percentage of that spread to connect to land the one-hit kill. Against those funky hitbox targets, this new version will still work, but for sure the damage value of Roadhog being lower and just dominating the tank category is really gonna put him down a peg, if not a few. It's more so for medium range hits, I would say, because that's where a lot of pellets can go missing if you get kind of unlucky with the spread. That in particular is something that from even like the launch of Overwatch, a lot of players were critical about with Tracer, who can have a little bit of RNG with the way her weapons shoot, especially at medium range. So I hope that they apply this kind of rework to that character as well, and really any any character that is kind of randomness, this will be good to shore up. But Doomfist's, however, being reliable now does make a big deal because of the ranges he usually fights at, and when he needs them to connect, and how perfect he needs to be with his damage in order to confirm elimination. So this reliability buff means a lot to Doomfist, I think. And especially with Roadhog getting massive nerfs, you're gonna want to be on the lookout for Doomfists on this new patch. I know a lot of you guys have been asking me about tier lists and updating through the patches, but I expected this patch to come in very quickly and sort of for that era of Roadhog dominance to go away rather fast as well. So now that things are kind of returned to normalcy somewhat with the Overwatch landscape, we'll now take time to look at the new patch and how it plays out and make some more content based on that. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss out on new videos covering Overwatch, you're going to want to be sure to hit the subscribe button as well as the bell icon to actually get notified when our videos go live. Link to the description is our Twitter, where we tweet out news, updates, and dank memes. That's been it for me. I've been Frito for Your Overwatch. We'll see you guys next time.